So I've covered a bit about an overview of this PicoVoice based device and showed some of the hardware. Now let's take a look at what the software behind it is. The key part of this whole project is the PicoVoice engines. This is the code that handles the wake word detection and the speech to intent voice commands. And again, I use the term voice commands and speech to intent to mean these are pre-programmed words that the device will listen for. So when you go to PicoVoice.ai, you can sign up for a free account and it will grant you an access key. And the access key is used in your code, in your Arduino code, and elsewhere. And for this, let's take a look at their product called Rhino, which is their voice command, the intent. So I'm going to go into Rhino. And when you go into the site, it has contexts. So these are contexts that you can create. In this case, I am controlling a hospital bed. So I have a context called bed control. So let me go in here. And within a given context, you have intents. So these are the things you want it to do, or the commands that you want to send your Arduino code. Head, in this case, head up, head down, foot up, foot down, and so on and so forth. Within each intent, you have an expression. And the expression are the words that it is going to be listening to trigger this intent. So in this case, if the user says head up, or if the user says the number 2, or anything else I want to add, it will trigger the head up. And while you're programming this, while you're setting this up, you can click the test. It'll hook into your microphone, and you could test to make sure that the intent is being picked up. So the first thing you do is you go in here, go in the Rhino, you I created my bed control. I can create all my different intents, and then I assign the words that I want associated with those intents. Once you're done with that, this is where the magic begins. You hit the download model, and you choose the platform that this model is going to be for. Now, here's the limitation on the free. You can train up to 10 models a month. This is really critical to pay attention to. This is 10 models a month. So don't go over 10. So don't keep training new models. Now, here's the thing to look out for too, is that a model is board specific. It's tied into the serial number, the unique ID of the Bluetooth chip on the board. So you could do one board 10 times a month, or you could do 10 boards once a month. So be very aware of that when you're playing around with this. So back to the platform. They support multiple platforms, which is great. They have mobile, web, Raspberry Pi. In this case, I'm putting it on a Arduino Nano 33. So I'm going to use the ARM Cortex-M. So you choose that. And then you select which board you're using. I'm using the Arduino Nano 33. And then you plug in the hexadecimal string for the UID. This you get off the chip itself. So you run a little program in Arduino that gives you the ID, and then you plop it into here. Again, this is part of the security. This is part of their licensing, and you can't get around it. You have to put something in here. If you train something for one board, it will not work on another board. I've already tried. So each board you program has to go through this process. So this is kind of a downside. You have to go through their site, and you have to link it to a particular board. But for free, it's actually pretty amazing. Once that process is done, you are provided with a file. And this is really where the super magic is at. And let me move this over to the screen. When you hit the process button, what it will do is it will create this hex file for you. This is the magic encoding of all of those words, that context that you programmed through the web GUI. So all of that information gets stuffed into this really tiny, I mean, this whole file is 147 lines long. It's quite amazing. But this section of hex code contains all the pre-compiled information for your context array. At the top, you have the wake word. In this case, the wake word is PicoVoice. So same sort of data. So when you process it through the web, this is what you get. So you get this information. And then the next step will be to actually have the Arduino code, which will use this model to do the voice recognition. And I'm going to put that on another video so I can keep this one shortish. So stay tuned for the next video.